why you should visit New Zealand first over Australia. Hey guys, this is Ozzie from Wanderlust Awe Syndrome, where I provide unique views, advice, and stories for you, the passionate traveler. Australia versus New Zealand travel. Which one should you visit first if you're making your first trip to either country? It's a question plaguing many first-time visitors, believing that they can see both countries in less than 3 weeks when they realize it's insane to do. I'm here to tell you why you should visit New Zealand over Australia first. Before I get into the reasons, I made a video on why you should visit Australia over New Zealand first. If you would like to know the unique reasons, check out the video. Links will be posted here in the description box or in the comment sections below. Adventure and nature. Australia has tons of amazing adventures to do, such as hiking the Three Sisters or scuba diving the Great Barrier Reef. Even so, New Zealand takes adventure and nature to a whole new level. The country is a paradise for adrenaline junkies. Bungee jumping and skydiving are crazy popular activities to do in New Zealand. If you're feeling fearless, I recommend bungee jumping off the Sky Tower in Auckland, New Zealand. The crown jewel of New Zealand is 328 meters or 1,076 feet. It's the 27th tallest tower in the world and the tallest freestanding structure in the southern hemisphere. If you're not ready to make the plunge, you can see stunning views of Auckland by doing the legendary Sky Walk. New Zealand values its ecotourism, as many Kiwis know the importance of protecting the environment. The Milford Sound and Lake Wanaka are one of the many natural wonders of New Zealand that attracts many tourists throughout the world to make the long flights out to New Zealand. Ecotourism is a major source in New Zealand economy. The country sets grand standards in providing fun, exciting activity while protecting the environment. No dangerous animals. Australia is the marsupial capital of the world, yet it has some of the deadliest animals in the world. The country has 66 of the deadliest animals in the world within its borders, followed behind Brazil and Mexico. The country has one of the most venomous animals in the world, such as box jellyfish and marble cone snails. If you're fearful of these facts, New Zealand is the safer place to be. There are only two dangerous creatures of New Zealand, the katipo and the redback spider. Don't worry, as only the females inject venom in small amounts. Also, they're really hard to find in New Zealand. The Capito is the only native spider in New Zealand, which has legendary status as the population size is small. The country encouraged citizens to avoid killing the endangered spiders. With no other venomous animals around, New Zealand offers you a peace of mind to enjoy your time out there. Lord of the Rings. A fan of Lord of the Rings? Want to know what it was like to live as a hobbit? If you answered yes, you must make your way out to New Zealand. Hobbiton is a city that was the set of the famous Hobbit village for the popular movies. Peter Jackson owns the land of the former movie set, which is now a popular tourist destination. If you're up for it, grab some Hobbit beer and sit around the fire to share great stories with other tourists as if you're a Hobbit. Rain or shine, the place is a must for any first-time visitor of New Zealand. Size. Australia is a huge country with many places to explore. It would take months, if not years, to explore every part of it. On the other hand, New Zealand has two main islands, North and South Islands. Even though there are much to discover in New Zealand, you have a better chance of seeing much of the country depending on your time frame. With that said, you gain an amazing opportunity to plan better, as domestic flights are very affordable and short. This gives you the ability to cover as much of the country, savoring many parts of New Zealand. Wine. If you must whine about wine, you don't have to do so in New Zealand. Both countries offer world-class delicious wine, but New Zealand stresses its love of wine as there's so many wineries throughout the country. Australia tends to be more of a beer country, whereas New Zealand focuses more on winery. This is evident as New Zealand has many wineries within at least 20-mile radius of each other. The climate in New Zealand makes it an excellent place to produce fine wines. If you get the opportunity, make sure you do a winery hop. It's like a bar hop for beer, but this time you do a bar hop from one New Zealand winery to another. It's a fun thing to do as you get to taste the different brands the country has to offer. If you're a wine drinker, you can rest assured that New Zealand will have a brand that you'll like. Embracing native culture. New Zealand does a phenomenal job of representing the native culture of New Zealand. For those of you who don't know, the Maori tribes are the natives of New Zealand. When the British came over to colonize New Zealand, they made an agreement with the Maori tribes. The parties agreed to the Treaty of Waitangi on February 6, 1840. The treaty allowed the British to colonize New Zealand in return of respecting the rights and traditions of the Maori tribe. Today, the Maori culture makes up the DNA of New Zealand. Maori culture is in most media, food, and even tourism. You can even learn to speak Maori on TV. Much of New Zealand allows tourists to discover the Maori culture, giving them a chance to enjoy the history and traditions. If you're up to learn about the Maori culture, make sure you visit here first. Rugby. Now, we can't talk about New Zealand without mentioning rugby. The national sport of New Zealand, the popularity is so great that Wellington, the capital of New Zealand, has a main street called, you guessed it, Rugby Street. Also, you can't go through a block without seeing a rugby pitch within New Zealand. The All Blacks is the national team and the most famous team in the entire rugby world. Legendary players such as Richie McCaw, Jonah Lemieux, and Dan Carter have represented the team with a winning tradition and while setting the standards on how to play rugby for the world to emulate. The national team has won the Rugby World Cup 3 times, tied with South Africa. Hi, my name is Ozzie and you're on my channel, Wanderlust Awe Syndrome. If you like this video, hit like, subscribe, and share this video, and come along with my journey as I explore the world and sharing unique views, advice, and stories.